right, what up, people? It's your boy Chid from Guna Eagle Eye, coming to you again with a brand new video. This time it is Eagle Eye, the transfer rumor show where I talk to you about rumors and news surrounding the Arsenal. And it is a special edition because it is the members edition, where members will be the only ones that are allowed to be able to participate in the chat room. And typically towards the end of the show, I'll have them on for 15, 20 minutes or so, where we could be discussing any kind of sort of news here and there. I'm feeling a little bit tender at the moment in terms of the head. Headache has definitely eased from yesterday, but I don't want to push my luck too much. And I've got 2 studio lights beaming down in my face, so I don't want this to essentially end for. I don't want this to go on for too long, as you can imagine. So we will keep this down to just under an hour. But I'm going to go through a few stories. Then towards the end, I'll have a few people, and then we will go from there. So I hope you guys are well. Apologies, I was a couple minutes late. Quite honestly, nature calls. So simple as that. Got nothing else to say other than that. So yeah, apologies for that. But in the meantime, please do slap a like on this video. Yes, it is a member stream, but you public are still able to watch and view as normal, and we can go from there. Very distinct possibility that I may do 2 member streams next week, just because I'm conscious that I'm having quite short episodes. So to make up for it, possibly next week, I'll have 2 member streams to make it up for you. And one of them, I'll have a guest. So I think that worked pretty well last time, so I'll do that again. All right, let's talk about this story, because I know people have been sending me Instagram hits on this. Which, speaking of which, you can follow me on Instagram at Guna Eagle Eye. Wanting my opinion on this, and I think people are anticipating that I won't be happy. And that is Mr. Thomas Partey. Yes, it seems like the Thomas Partey dream, at least for the time being, is over. The reason that we have been linked with Thiago and Roma's Diawara, and I'll come back to Diawara shortly, is because there has been an acceptance that we can no longer afford Thomas Partey, and in essence, that deal is done. Hold on, let me just. Yeah, you guys can still hear me. So, in essence, that deal is done. They've come to the realization that Atletico Madrid will not lower their price, and Arsenal will not increase their bid. Your understanding is that Arsenal don't particularly want to pay more than 35 million. Excuse me. Just had to take a swig of water. They don't want to pay more than 35 million for the 27-year-old, due to the fact that they don't believe that there's a lot of resale value there. And they just believe that they can go for slightly younger alternatives who would provide them better value for money. Enter Diawara, yes, but I'll come back to him shortly. And they just believe that essentially he's not worth it, which, before you say it, I think is insane. You guys know is insane. It doesn't make a lot of sense. However you cut it, it's hugely frustrating. This, however, call me hopeful. I don't, for some reason, think this is dead. I think this is Arsenal posturing. I really do. I really do. And even if this leads to us going to buy Diawara, I would say do not panic just yet. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't really know any inside kind of stories. This is kind of my gut instinct. The same way I used my gut instinct with Gabriel when everybody panicked about the fact that, you know, Man United and PSG came in last minute for him. And without even looking at the chat room, I bet someone like Omar has said something along the lines of, Susuk, I told you we're never going to get him. I still don't think this is dead yet. I've just got a feeling that, I could be proven wrong. By next week, my man might sign a new contract with Atletico Madrid and it all looks silly. But the headlines that I was reading today wasn't Arsenal have given up the chase for Thomas Partey. It was in one or two papers that said that Arsenal, because they've come to a standstill, there is a belief that they have pulled out from negotiations. Pulling out from negotiations and, giving up any hope of signing the player are two very distinctly different things. And I could believe that they've had some frustrations because from the get-go, you wondered how negotiations were going to be when two clubs are saying, well, they're not going to increase their bid. And the other club is saying, well, we're not going to lower our bid. Kind of doesn't really give you a lot of places to go. So I would say with this one, it would not surprise me if this rumbles on and on and on. I suppose the good thing about starting on the 5th is that you get to see a good thing about the transfer window ending on the 5th of October is you get to see how the team reacts. Obviously, we'll be able to start the season, and it will give some indication as to where we're lacking in the team. So maybe Arsenal opt to buy a cheaper alternative like a Diawara. Would it be my choice? I think Diawara is a decent option, but it wouldn't be my choice. I would prefer, if we were going for an alternative, to go for Sangara, and people keep asking me, by the way, who Sangara is. I thought I'd spoken a lot about Sangara in the past, so I'll bring up his picture just to show you guys who I mean. But that would be the person that I would hope Arsenal would go for, just because I think he's everything Partey is in terms of a presence, maybe a little more defensive-minded than Partey. So if you don't like that type of thing, maybe that would make you think, shit, I don't know about this. But I think he's perfect. To be honest, in a lot of ways, he's more suited to the job than Partey. Even though you guys know Partey is my dream signing. But actually, for me, I think Sangara is better in a defensive capacity. Now, if you're going to add whistles and bells to it, that's a different discussion. I want to make that nice and clear. So, it's going to be very interesting to see where this goes. Me personally, I don't believe this deal is dead. I would say, let's just see what happens. By the way, FYI, that's Sangara. So Partey is 6'1", obviously pretty built, well built, Ghanaian international. Sangara is a French international, 6'4", and plays for Toulouse, who've recently been relegated. Thank you very much for your donation, my guy. I appreciate that. Chicani, we signed Rodrigo. I can't believe it. Yeah, you guys have, haven't you? You guys have. What a get is all I could say. What a get. For about 30 million. My mate told me in my group chat. Great signing. So yeah, I would say, guys, so it looks like the Partey is off. Oh, damn it. That would have been a better title for this video. The Partey looks like it's off for now. For now. But let's see what happens. All right, let me remove this and put my delightful face back on camera. Okay, let's go through the stories and see what we're talking about. We unfortunately ain't going to talk about the lead story, but I do agree it is a hell of a get for you guys. Now, obviously, in light of that, Arsenal are being linked with Thiago Alcantara from Bayern Munich. He's obviously the 29-year-old who's just won a Champions League, but is committed to leaving the club. Up until maybe the last 2 weeks, he'd been linked with a move to Liverpool. So much so, it looked as though, Arsenal were set to get. So Liverpool were set to get him, and then Arsenal came in for a bid. Now the belief is that Thiago Alcantara, if he'd gone to Liverpool, wouldn't have been a starter. They obviously have Fabinho, they have Wijnaldum, they have Milner, they have Henderson, they have a number of central midfielders. I think the belief was you bring him in as more of a maybe a Fabinho understudy, compete with Fabinho for one place. Whereas, let's face it, he's cartwheeling into the Arsenal team. He's a good player. Wouldn't necessarily be my choice for defensive midfielder, but as a number 8 type, I could see it. You know, he's combative, but he can play a nice pass on the ball, very calm, obviously a lot of experience. And the price is not the worst. Price is about 20 to 25 million, although apparently Arsenal are still not amazingly happy about the price. It just shows you, Arsenal, you could offer them a player for a £5 and then want that player for 250. It's just the way they operate. And people would tell me, oh, it's negotiations. Like, at some point, is it still negotiation, or are you guys just being unrealistic? Like, the fact that you want Thomas Partey for less than 45 million, even though a player like that really should be double, it's just incredible to me. It's almost it's ignorance, and it's arrogance and ignorance at the same time, in my personal opinion. But yeah, in terms of Thiago Alcantara, this is a player that Mikel Arteta has personally telephoned to try and get him over the line. Now, we've seen what an Arteta telephone call can do. Apparently, that was one of the main reasons that Gabriel ended up signing with Arsenal, because Arteta called him and just wowed him on the phone to the point where he was just like, well, how can I turn this club down? Like, this is a project I definitely want to be part of. And listen, there is some value in that. I've said it, you know, you guys know I have some I have some cautiousness with Mikel Arteta. But one thing I've always maintained, the man is a good talker. So it does not surprise me that he will be able to wow someone like this. Even someone who's as experienced as a Thiago Alcantara. You know, you can absolutely imagine him wowing players. However, there's one thing wowing a 22-year-old player. Wowing a 29-year-old experienced Champions League winner is a completely different prospect. And mind you, not only that, but getting him to turn down a team as big as Liverpool, who are on the up and up, who look like they are set to dominate for years to come, that's a completely different prospect. If you can do that, fair play to him, because he clearly has the Midas touch. But I digress. What do you guys think? You know, funny enough, whenever I talk about Alcantara, the response usually in the chat room is, all right, well, yeah, cool, but I'd rather Partey. And I ain't gonna lie, 9 times out of 10, I'm usually with you guys when it comes to that. But now we have to assume that the Partey deal is dead. Notice I say the words very carefully. We have to assume the Partey deal is dead. So if the Partey deal is dead, then we have to assume that this is going to be one of the solutions to that. If that is the case, would you guys be happy with him? One thing I will say, he played very well in that Champions League final. He's one of the more standout players, because the game wasn't amazingly entertaining, because it was 2 very good teams trying to play as tightly as possible. But there were certain players that for me stood out. He was one of them. I thought he was excellent. Would you have him? I guess is the question. He is 29. You know, my worry is that we seem to be turning into a team that's shipping out our youngsters and replacing them with a lot older people. You know, you look at someone like Juventus, you look at Barcelona now, and I'll come to Barcelona in a minute. I'll come back to that situation in a minute. But you look at Barcelona now, they're very much an aging team, which may be the reason for a lot of their struggles. You don't want Arsenal to turn into that in a couple of years' time. Now, that could be just due to the fact that Arteta as he's said to Willian, wants to win the Champions League within 3 years' time. And maybe he feels that the best way of doing that is by getting now players as opposed to future prospects. And that might be the reason that he's overlooking, say, someone like a Sangara for someone like a Alcantara, for example. But maybe I'm reading too much into it. What do you guys think? Let me know. Once again, leave it in the comments below. All right. Now, people have asked me, like they've forgotten that I'm about this guy. I've been about this guy. What my opinion on the story is with Soumaré. Now, I did talk about this story yesterday, and I still got questions today by people from this. So, Boubakary Soumaré, you know, Soumaré. For anyone wondering, as you can hear me furiously typing, yes, replace, is this guy. I'm just going to bring him up when my computer decides to stop having a think about it. Is this geezer. He is the 21-year-old central midfielder that plays for Lille. Now, we already have a pretty good and well-established relationship with Lille through our purchase of, first of all, Pepe, and then our purchase of Gabriel. For those people asking, who knows, is your guess is as good as mine when it comes to when we're going to announce certain stuff. I think the Gabriel deal is usually whenever they do these social media days, it's usually 48 hours later, you usually get an announcement. So I'm hoping tomorrow for an announcement on Gabriel Magnalish. But in terms of Boubakary Soumaré, this midfielder is excellent. Excellent on the ball. 6'2", 21 years old, plays in the heart of the Lille midfield. They play him as a DM. He's not a DM. I think he's so much more than a DM. He hand put in a tackle. He's very good. He's very adverse to that. Reads the game very well. But actually, it's his passing range that makes him, that for me would make it almost a blasphemy to play him in a number 6 position. But then again, these days, this is what these sort of managers like. They like a DM who can pass the ball rather than just a destroyer. And to be honest, as much as I like Sangara, and I do think Sangara is a decent passer of the ball, it's very possible that Arteta would opt for someone like a Soumaré over a Sangara. Even though Sangara is 2 inches taller, much bigger, much more combative, much more suited to a number 6 position. For me, this guy has been good. I've been watching him for the last 2 years. Very, very good player. French international. Is destined for big things. A lot of teams have been watching him for a long period of time. Most recently, Man United were the team most recently linked with him. But I know that Liverpool have an interest in him. And so do Arsenal. And so do Barcelona, funnily enough. But Arsenal have also been registered with a link with him. So we're talking about a player who is highly coveted by various different teams. What does that essentially mean for us? It means we'll probably be priced out with like this. Supposedly he's rated at 35 million, but the belief is that bidding will go through right up all the way to 50 million. And then it will beg the question, well, you were prepared to pay 50 million for this guy, but you wouldn't prepare to pay 50 million for Thomas Partey. How does that make sense? They'll justify that by saying this guy's 21, Partey is 27, but Partey is more proven. So it is what it is. What would you guys do, I guess, is the question. Let me put a question out for you lot. I suppose it is only the members that can respond to this at the moment, right? Who would you prefer, Partey or Soumaré? Now, let me leave that with you, and I'll come into the chat room to find out those answers. So mods, so I know the mods are also the ones that can respond to this as well. So mods and members, who would you go? All right. So that's that. Just let me put myself back on camera and let me remove this. There you go. Right. What else is happening in the world of football? Should we talk about Lionel Messi? Yeah, let's talk about Lionel Messi. Now, normally I don't talk about other teams' players, but I feel like somehow, some way, this is going to have a knock-on effect on us. Whether it's other teams attempting to buy Lionel Messi and then their targets are freed up, namely Hossein Awour. Maybe he might be, I think most people would have assumed that Man City would go for him. But there's a lot of rumors today that after the Lionel Messi developments, they may try and focus their entire efforts on getting 32, was he 33 or 32? Your Lionel Messi. What has happened, you ask? Well, I must admit, I thought this was all a contract issue. I know that Lionel Messi's contract is due for renewal, I think. I think he's got a year left, something like that. That boy runs Barcelona, basically. And he has a number of clauses in his contract. One of those clauses I found out today was that this boy can literally just decide, I'm leaving. And there ain't a damn thing the club can do about it, apparently. The club are arguing that the clause for that right expired in June. But obviously, in terms of anyone moving in June, that wasn't happening because of the pandemic that's been happening. So supposedly that's going to end up in court. But so according to, it's been widely reported today that Lionel Messi has asked to leave Barcelona. Now, you would have thought in world football, there are only realistically two teams that can afford to pay him. One of them is Manchester City. One of them is PSG. And I think even PSG, given they already have two superstars, I think they would be hard pushed. Now, obviously, for anyone who was wondering, FFP this season is not a thing. So that's, if anyone's going to buy Messi, it's going to be this season, because it's not a thing for this season because of the pandemic. The FFP stuff has been relaxed somewhat. So if you're going to do a madness, this is the time to do it. He is 33 years old. As stupid as this next statement is going to sound, I suppose he'd only cost 100 to 150 million, you would have thought, because of his age and his length of contract. I don't know. I know that sounds stupid, but we're talking about Lionel Messi here, right? Possibly you get 2 years, 2.5 years of Lionel Messi at his top level, but then you might have to pay him something dumb to come over to you. I don't know. Maybe in his age he'd be realistic, and he'd say, "All right, you don't have to pay me $1 million a week, but you'd probably be looking at something like 500K a week and a high signing on fee." I'd imagine if Stan decided to do a madness and say, "All right, let's do it. Let's just get him." So yeah, we could actually be seeing the prospect of Lionel Messi leaving Barcelona, something I never thought we'd see. You know, with Ronaldo, it's been no thing. Ronaldo's left Man United, he's left Real Madrid, and he's enjoying the rest of his career at Juventus, doing his thing. But Messi always seemed like he was destined to be that one club player. And part of me still feels that will end up being the case in the end. But he has apparently, reportedly, asked to leave the club. Now, I do wonder how that will affect us. Will it allow us to get the targets that we've been focused on, because people like Man City are distracted on trying to get Messi? I think that's what you hope, certainly from an Arsenal perspective. That's the main reason I'm talking about it now, because I think somehow, if we work it right, this could be a positive news for us. We're not going to go and get Messi, but maybe we might be able to get some of our targets due to the fact that clubs are distracted by Lionel Messi's situation. What do you guys think? Again, let me know. Leave it in the chat room. We'll have a chit chat about it soon. All right, I'm approaching 11:30 now, and I don't really want to go past 12 with the members chat. So before I put the link up in the members section, let me just talk about a couple more stories before we get ready to go there. Please stick a like on this video. Hit the subscribe button. This is what happens when you become a member. You get an opportunity to join and have a chit chat with Muggins over here. So feel free to hit that join button, and you can do that. Let me see what you lot are saying. All right, 2 seconds. Sorry, just looking through some stories here. Bear with me. Oh, man. So, apparently Arsenal have denied that they're in talks to sell Kolasinac. Crap. Shit. So, yeah, apparently they've denied it. Obviously, the initial report came yesterday from Sky Germany. Arsenal had denied just that they are planning to sell or are in talks to get rid of Kolasinac. Maybe they just feel that, doing everything. I think someone pointed this out to me yesterday on Twitter, and it was something I'm more than aware of, but I suppose it is worth repeating. For all of their real rebuild that they've got to do this summer, it's true, we're not going to get everything done. We're not going to get everything done. And if we got the right names through the door, and you told me that I had to keep Granit Xhaka, Squadron Mustafi, and Kolasinac, but that we managed to get rid of Hector Bellerin, we managed to get rid of Socrates, Rob Holding, Mkhitaryan, El Nene. We got rid of all them kind of players. I'd reluctantly take that. I'd take that as a win and keep it moving, because I don't think you're going to get everything. We're not going to get everything we want. We're not. I wish we could, but we're not. So I think it is all about give and take. So it is what it is. He's a deputy. Let him deputize. I think that's what I say about that. I did see the story yesterday. Do I want to talk about it? I did see the story yesterday, so I suppose I could talk about it. And that is Donny van de Beek. Now, I know this is someone that a lot of you guys like, a lot of you guys rate. And to be honest, with all this talk of Houssem Aouar and me not genuinely believing that he'll come to Arsenal, because I've not heard him even say as much that he wants to come to Arsenal, right? I remember, what was it, this time last year? There was huge conversations at the time about Donny van de Beek either going to Barcelona or going to Man United. And then he ended up staying. And I was kind of like, okay, interesting. Why has that not gone anywhere? Well, it seems as though Donny van de Beek is destined to stay at Ajax, or is he? Because he recently came out yesterday and he basically said that, while he's happy at Ajax and he's enjoying himself, that he is secretly hoping for a move to the Premier League so that he can show his skill. Obviously, he is the Ajax captain, very, very talented. Some people have called him the Dutch version of Ramsey, which I think that's a horrible comment to make. I don't know if they meant that as a compliment or not. I didn't take it as that. He's very upright in the way he does things, which is interesting. But he's a good presence on the pitch, loves to drive a team forward with his runs. There's another central midfielder that likes to play slightly on that left-hand side. Like, a lot of his work comes on that left, and then he comes in and tries to create something. Could be a number 8, could be a number 10, quite comfortably. Yeah, I mean, I like him. I've never been overly high on him because I'm always a little bit skeptical on how well Dutch players can transition over to the Premier League. I think when it comes to defenders, I think Dutch players, excuse me, 1 second. Sorry, I had to do a large burp. Defensive players, I think, I always find that transition a lot easier than attacking players, in my opinion. So I've always been a little bit skeptical as to how much he'd be able to transition over to the Premier League. But in my opinion, very good player. I think this is another one which will depend on price. I believe Donny van de Beek is 23 years old, but I'm gonna fact check that just in case. But I believe he's 23 years old, turned 23 in April. So it will be interesting to see how that develops. Man United are supposedly retaining an interest in Van der Beek. See, I'd be surprised if they went for him, particularly if they kept Pogba. And I don't see Pogba going anywhere. Because they have their midfield pretty well set up with Bruno Fernandes, Paul Pogba, and then they've got that defensive, I forgot his name. Is it McTominay that plays as their DM? So they've got their midfield pretty well set up, and I can't see where there'd be a place for Van der Beek. Maybe Barcelona could be a choice for him, to be honest. They may be a little bit gun-shy since having... What was the other Dutch player that they bought that hasn't really worked out so well? So they might be a little bit more reluctant to take a punt on Donny van der Beek. And then it comes to us. You would have thought us would be the next best option. I know Everton are also looking for a central midfielder. And they can splash the cash when they want to. But you would have thought, surely, we are a more attractive option than Everton. What do you guys think? I think it'd be an interesting buy. Definitely wouldn't. If you ask me straight up, if someone said to me, "All right, Chick, Soumaré or him," honestly, I'd go for Soumaré. I think he's a cleaner player. I can't explain it. I think he's a better passer of the ball. I think Donny van der Beek has a more keen eye for goal, but I think that's at a certain level. I think Soumaré will transition better into the Premier League, I believe, just because I think he's more battle-hardened than Van der Beek. But maybe I'm wrong. What do you guys think? Again, let me know. Leave it in the comments below. All right, we're approaching that 20-minute mark for members. Let me just bear with me before I put the link in. All right, here we go. This story is just broken here. So let me see what these lot are saying for this. So Atletico Madrid identify 3 players to offer in a swap deal. Now, I'm going to say, genuinely, put a little bit of a pinch of salt on this. But this story appeared in Marca, which is a Spanish publication, and is now being reported by offside.com. Now, to avoid the chance of being sued, if you know about offside.com, you know. But I will say, to be fair to them, they've got it from Marca. So I will say that. But I'm going to read the story. A swap deal. Do you know what? I just realized I still got Van der Beek on my thing, don't I? 1 second. Start my camera. Get rid of Van der Beek. All right, let's go. So a swap deal only makes sense if both sides want the player of similar value from the other team. An obvious solution to Atletico Madrid chase to sign Alexandre Lacazette. Arsenal have been linked with a move for Thomas Partey all summer. So a simple exchange of the two players sounds like a fair deal. Unfortunately for Arsenal, Merca have reported that the latest with Atletico Madrid's chase for Lacazette, and it's not on the table. It's actually suggested that Atleti have identified 3 players they'd be willing to exchange: Thomas Lemar, Vitolo, and Angel Carrera. Damn, all of them sound like dead-ass players. Thomas Lemar, I still think potentially there might be a player there, but would you really take a chance on a player that's not scored a goal, an attacking player, mind you, that's not scored a goal, and that's not had an assist? Now, I still think you don't become a crap player overnight, but if we're going to part with Lacazette, which I don't think a lot of people are going to be happy about, I think you do. I think you need to make that worthwhile. None of them 3 players, at least to me, inspire me as a player that I think we should be parting with. So that's a little bit of a concern. But yeah, according to them, that's what the whole debate and conversation has been about. So because Arsenal are unwilling to pay the fee for Partey, they've said, listen, this makes the sense. We value Lacazette more or less what you value Thomas Partey at. So why don't we just swap the players? You want a player of ours, we want a player of yours. Atletico Madrid have said no, because we don't even want to sell Partey. We don't even want to sell him. The only reason we're having a conversation about Partey is because he has a release clause, which I can understand. I can totally understand. It's their prerogative. They don't have to sell anybody at the end of the day. So it is what it is, but this is a story that's just broken. They are willing to swap for one of those 3 players: Thomas Lemar, Vitolo, or Angel Carrera. Doesn't exactly inspire, does it? But what do you guys think? Is this a deal that you would be tempted by? Let me. The PT. Brother, I did a boxing show, an entire boxing show on the Combat Show on Friday. I was hoping to see you in the chat, and I didn't see you at all. Sorry, just seeing my man in the chat room. Well, let me say something to him. But anyway, it is what it is. You guys, what do you think? Again, let me know. Leave it in the comments below. All right. Any more stories I want to talk about before I start bringing on a couple of members to have a very quick chit chat? Wolves close to agreeing a deal for Enzi Maitland-Niles. Damn, I was hoping that would fall through. Yeah, I want to talk about this. I said I'll talk about Diawara. So let me talk about him. All right, so let me do that, and then we'll start to invite people into the stream. Or anyone, you don't have to come in. You don't have to. If you've not been on before, those are the people that will have priority, as always, because I don't want it to just be the same old heads. I want it to be different. I want people to feel comfortable that they can come on. So I will always say, I have literally 18 minutes of chit chat before I head up out of here. But I will indeed have another member stream just to make up for this. I've just seen a new member pop up. I will give them the suitable fanfare for joining. Just bear with me for a very quick second while I do something real quick. I'm going to play some lift music for you. Hold on 1 second. All right. Slow touch. All right. All right. All right. So let me talk about Mr. Carter Steeds. Big up, brother. Welcome, 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 welcome. And thank you for supporting the channel first and foremost and becoming the latest member of the Chiggy Army. Thank you, brother. Appreciate it. I hope you enjoy your stay. You're going to get bombarded over the next 10 days with a lot of shows that I've been meaning to make up for. So brace yourself. I apologize ahead of time. But at the very least, you're going to get a lot of new material from me. My gym membership start this week. So you're going to get a lot more gym vlogs. Cooking with Chig starts this week as well. Starts again this week. I'll be doing that on Sunday. I've even still got one in the chamber for that, which I will release tomorrow. I'll do that tomorrow. And I still owe you guys a chopping block. I owe you all a chopping block. But I owe you lot special early access for that. So that's what you get when you become a member. And much, much more. So thank you, brother. I appreciate it. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Of course, brother. Listen, I don't take it for granted at all. Anyone that becomes a new member gets the full poppers and balloons treatment. So thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. All right. Now let's talk about this final story before we get up out of here. Let's talk about... Okay, so the Express are talking about the fact that we are interested in Amadou Diawara, who is the Roma midfielder. Roma are looking to do business for about 27 million. If you remember, this is the same man that was the heart of a swap deal that Arsenal were trying to do with Torreira. We wanted to swap Torreira, and we needed them to give us somebody. I think we opted for either Kluivert or Diawara. They offered Diawara. They like him as a player. The only problem with Diawara is he does have a tendency of picking up injuries. And I won't say it's halted his development, but I think the feeling is that they may cut their losses now and get a player in Torreira who, well, Torreira does get injuries himself because he plays quite on the edge himself. But I don't know. I guess they feel that it's a worthwhile swap. Mikel Arteta is working hard to try and reshuffle his squad that he inherited from Unai Emery. Midfield is an area we desperately need to strengthen. We've been far too open at times, and Mikel Arteta is reportedly on the market for at least one new midfielder before the window closes on October 5th. So obviously we know that Guendouzi is almost certain to leave. We're yet to agree a deal for Dani Ceballos, as everyone knows. So that enter Diawara. So Diawara looking like, according to Express, Mikel Arteta has been trying his hardest to get a deal over the line for Diawara for £27 million. He's 23 years old. He's made 31 appearances in all competitions this season. And obviously Roma are after cash because they need to do stuff with their own summer plans. So yeah, what do you guys think by that? Is this someone that you think you'd be interested in signing for Arsenal? I would always say this. I said this earlier and I'll say this again. Even if Arsenal do this deal, I don't think personally, unless of course they flat out come out and say it, that this necessarily kills off the Partey deal. I've just got a feeling that this is just Arsenal posturing, particularly in the knowledge that Atletico Madrid know that they want Lacazette. I think it's a well-known secret that Lacazette would be quite keen on joining Atletico Madrid. It was where he wanted to go in the first place. So I think something could happen there. That's all I'm going to say. But then, like I said, I could be proven wrong. Maybe next week, Partey signs a new deal with Atletico, and that poo-poos that. But let's see what happens. All right. Okay, that's it. Link is in the members section. I put it in there. I will not go too long. We're just going to talk about a handful of subjects. I already saw TD Ships earlier in the lobby. But anyone else that wants to come on and that's a member, feel free to come on. We'll have a little quick chit chat, and then I'll head up out of here. Either this week or next week. I'm going to try this week. Possibly on Friday, I'll do another show and have it to be a bit longer. So that way you guys are not feeling so rushed. And I won't feel so bad because I've done 2 shows. I'll have 2 member shows this week. All right. Okay, that's pretty much that. So let me see what you lot are saying as you come into the chat. By the way, this is strictly for members as well. So it won't be for mods. I know you mods already know that. So, yeah. Carter believes that the Partey deal is already dead. We'll see. I think you could be right. All I'm going to say is we'll see. Archie brings some sense into the chat. Is Archie sitting in the chat? I didn't see him. All right, then. Cool. Well, let's do this. I'm going to bring on Max, and I see DVS Troubles in the house, in the lobby as well. So have a quick chit chat and head up out of it. All right? All right, guys. All right. Welcome. TD Shifts, DVS. How you guys doing?
Hey, what's going on?
We're good. How are you, Jake?
Not bad. Head is banging, but it's a lot better than it was yesterday. So getting there. But anyway, first things first, let's talk about the really big news. What do you guys think about this whole Messi thing?
I think it's going to be difficult for him to leave Barcelona, to be completely honest. I think he's got a £700 million release clause, supposedly. Whether that, I don't think anyone's going to be able to meet that. In terms of the fee, I don't think anyone's going to meet the 150 mil, like whatever the buyout clause, whatever you want to say is a fee for him. I don't think anyone's going to be meeting that anytime soon. I think a lot of the players these days are tending to go for more up and coming, youthful young players, and I think he will stay at Barcelona. And I think that's just how football's adapt. There's no doubt in his quality in terms of who he is and the fact that he's Messi and whatever, and he wants to leave. I just don't feel like anyone's really going to take upon him. If it's going to be pretty much anyone, I think it's probably going to be PSG, purely on the merit that they run by a country. So I think that's purely where, if he's going to go anywhere, he's probably going to go to PSG. If PSG don't come in for him, I don't see him coming to Man City like the likes of that, because it's way too physical, and I don't see Man City forking out 150 mil for a guy that he may get 2 to 3 years out of and eventually retire or go on to do other things. I just don't see that as a feasible solution. So yeah, I think he probably more than likely stay at Barcelona, to be honest. Not by his choice. I just feel like no one's really gonna. I know he's Messi and everything. He's the second best player in the world right now, behind Ronaldo, honestly. But I just feel like Barcelona is where he's going to probably stay in all truth. So.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I it's my gut instinct tells me the same thing. I just feel like this is ultimately a grand plan for maybe a bigger contract. I think that's what this posturing is about, to be honest. That was what I initially thought. Now that he's made it official and asked to leave, and he damn well knows no one's going to be able to afford him, especially at his age now. It's a purchase that doesn't make a lot of sense, yes, it's Lionel Messi, but it's just like ultimately, yeah, time is a factor. It will be a factor. And if you are a buying club, this has to be part of your consideration. So, I tend to lean towards your opinion. What about you, buddy? What do you think?
Well, first my question was, do you think he'd have the ability to go on loan to Inter or PSG? And they just pay his wages and he stays at Barca?
Lionel Messi on loan. That would be an amazing story.
Well, is that possible? I mean, you probably know a little more about the inner workings of that than I would. Is that a possible thing? Because, like you guys said, no one can afford him. No one's going to pay $750 or million for a 32, 33-year-old player. Right? Isn't that the release clause? You guys said 750.
Yeah,
I haven't really.
Yeah, he's got a 700 mil release clause, but I think Barcelona apparently want between 100 and 150 mil as a price. But honestly, realistically, I don't see that happening at all. I don't realistically seeing that happening. I think he will stay at Barcelona more than likely. And I think if you said to Messi, say, look, we'll get some of these deadwood players out and we'll bring in some fresh blood and you're going to be the main guy, I think he'd probably stay another year. I think if they get rid of like the likes of Vidal, who's 33 and like he's past his best, likes of PK, who up until like a certain point he was one of the best centre backs in the world up until a point, and then I think age has passed him by. Obviously they have the likes of Longley, Ansu Fati, Semedo, Frankie De Jong, who's the other Dutchman that Chig was thinking of. They got Coutinho coming back from loan, and they've got a new manager. So if they said, look, hey Mess, like you're going to be the guy, yeah, we got the likes of Coutinho, Frankie De Jong, and all these other young bloods, and we'll get some of the other guys that don't want to be here and that I don't want here, and you're going to be the main guy. And next year, if we don't win the Champions League, then we'll allow you to leave, or we'll pay your contract out, or we'll find some understanding. Because I
disagree. Well, I don't disagree, but he's already been the main man. I don't see them building a team around him anymore. I think he wants to leave. I think he's probably going to stay, but I think there's going to be loan options to teams like Man City, PSG, and Inter. And then when those loan options expire, he's probably going to go back to Argentina and play for Rosario or Newell's Old Boys or somebody like that.
So if he's not the main man, who is the main man, in your opinion? Or who do you think they think is the main man?
I think they're going to try and bring Mbappe in and make him the new main man, or even go for Neymar once again. Maybe Neymar is going to leave PSG after what happened last weekend. Barca now. But I get what Max is saying as well. You're right. There's a lot of deadwood there. I mean, Dembele never worked out, right? I mean, Coutinho, they may bring him back, but he could still be crap at the beginning of the season. Just because he had a few games, with Bayern Munich, which obviously is the best team in Europe and the world. I don't know if that's going to really validate Barcelona's, interest in really keeping him long term. Coutinho, I still think, is in play for some teams if they have the money.
Well, supposedly he came out to. I completely forgot about the story. Supposedly he came out today and he's told Barcelona that he would be more keen to return back to the Premier League than stay at Barcelona.
Well, there you go. Another strike. They could look at other strikers. I mean, they could hopefully not look at Aubameyang. They could look at someone like Haaland from Dortmund. They could really move in another direction. But I get what, like I said, I get what Max is saying, but I just can't see them building a team around the man who's been the man for 12 plus years now. I think they're going to go a different direction, but I do think there's loan options. I do think there's 2 or 3 clubs, obviously, that'll pay $400,000, $500,000, £5,000 a week. Man City, PSG, Inter, maybe the only 3.
I just feel like after they got absolutely embarrassed by Bayern Munich, I feel like that really hurt Messi. That was my point. I think if you said to him, look, that won't happen again, we'll win the Champions League. Yeah, you can go out loan, you can go to Argentina to finish your career, you can go do whatever. Yeah, just give us one more year of you, right? Win the Champions League, leave on a high instead of leave on a down, leave on a high. Then I think you'd be okay with that. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
But again, look at how they got beat by Bayern Munich. It wasn't just, like some bad passing and a couple goals. They got their asses whooped. Lionel Messi was pretty quiet during that game, I thought. He had a few instances, but other than that, I thought he was really quiet in that game.
Yeah, because they literally had no midfield. Vidal was literally just taking a hike. Frankie de Jong, that is literally the worst game I've seen since
he was
left.
poor.
And literally, like, they were getting overrun in midfield, like, and their suggestion, like, they had freaking Sergio Roberto, right, which was in their midfield, which literally was like dead from the start because he was literally getting like absolutely annihilated by freaking Alphonso Davies and everything else, and then Semedo got absolutely turned by the guy, like you got turned like a catfish, and then their idea was to take off less midfielders when they're overly getting overrun already, I
don't want to analyze the Bayern Munich game. I don't know if Chig wants to sit around and listen to us debate that for another hour. But again, I strongly think that he's obviously been the man, and that he probably wants to go home. And maybe another couple years in Europe at a PSG or a couple at Inter. But I really doubt Man City. Isn't there some financial fair play involved with that, Chig?
Well,
no, FFP is out the window, dude. FFP is out the window.
It's been eased for this year because of the pandemic. So I don't see it being as much of an issue.
Gotcha.
And I see, funny enough, they came out today rather arrogantly and came out and they said, "Oh, we forgive UEFA for attempting to ban us from the Champions League." Like, you lot were the ones that did something wrong. You know that, right?
Right.
But yeah, I think it will be interesting to see where this goes. I must admit, I don't think either possibility is outrageous. Very possible Messi does end up leaving, but as things stand at the moment, I tend to swing towards Zach's side. I think, for me, this is a political thing for whatever reason. I don't know if it's
right. That's another aspect of it I hadn't thought of.
Yeah, I don't know why all of a sudden this has become a major issue. Do I think the A2 thing would have hurt Messi? Of course. I think it would hurt any player.
Yeah.
You go to the Champions League, what was it? Was it quarterfinal they were in and get embarrassed like that? But at the same time, I think for me, there was already dissension even before that game about Messi. So I think there is something deep-rooted going on there. And perhaps maybe it might be a case of, because apparently Barcelona are having some sort of emergency meeting over this tomorrow. So they're having an emergency board meeting to discuss Messi's situation. So
did you guys hear that apparently Barcelona apparently want Richarlison and Everton apparently want 143 million for him? And I'm like, that's an absolute joke, right? If he's going for 143 million, Bamings must be like worth 300 million then, if that's the case, because that's an absolute joke, considering he's not exactly proven himself. For a guy who's not scored more than 20 goals a season, and they want 143 million for him. And the only reason they want 143 million for him is because they know Barcelona's it's freaking loaded with money. And like, if he's going for 143, then surely Aubameyang's at least 250 plus. Like, Golden Boot winner, 20 goal a season guy.
But you say that I would have paid what Everton paid for Richarlison. I've never understood the Richarlison hype. I've never got it. Apart from the fact he's young and quick. That's literally it.
So was Memphis Depay before he went to Man United.
He's
average player. I
don't rate at all. It's
Me neither.
Personal opinion.
Can I talk about the Partey Soumaré deal? Yeah,
I was gonna move it on to that. So what do you guys think about the
I personally think, as I said on Monday, very, very clearly, as I said on Monday, I said the Gabriel deal was going to get done. I said the Willian deal was going to get done. Yeah. And I also said that the likes of Partey is going to get done, because Partey has come up very clearly in the last 48 hours and said, I want to leave Atletico Madrid this summer. He's come out and said, I want to leave Atletico Madrid this summer. And I think he's got 1 year remaining on his contract. 1 year, 2 years remaining on his contract.
2 years, yeah.
Yeah, and what Arsenal could do, is he could say, look, you got a player that wants to leave. He wants to come to the Premier League. He wants to join us, right? Do you want to leave it for 1 more year and have a player that doesn't want to be there and potentially have a less of a value? Or do you want to take the money now and have a play swap, and you have a player that you want, and then it's good for all parties, right? And I also read that supposedly, we're offering Lucas Torreira to them, we're offering Lacazette to them, and we're offering Guendouzi to them. Now, I read in the Arsenal London Post that I actually follow very, very closely, and they get a lot of things right. They said that, Diego Simeone is actually accepting that Partey's going to leave, right? And they said they're more than happy to swap Guendouzi for him. If that's the case, I would literally pay for his first flight over there, honestly, because Partey is a guy that's proven himself time and time again. Yes, he's 27. But 27 for a guy of his quality is like, you should be biting the guy's hand off. Like, honestly, like, that is a deal that you should be doing. As for the Boubakary Soumaré deal, which is how you pronounce his name, Chig, I was cringing every time you were saying his name, which he's a defensive mid from Lille, right? He's a really, really good player. He's more of a defensive mid than a number 6. He plays defensive mid excellently well. He's a good passer. He's very strong. He's very, very similar to Decore from Watford. He's very, very similar to that kind of mold of player. Who can play as a number 6 and a defensive midfielder, but he can also be that number 6 who can break through the lines, like a better version of Xhaka, actually, who's a bit more faster on the ball, a bit more quick. He's got a bit of more of a quicker turning circle, unlike Xhaka, who's got the turning circle of a ship, and who can pass the ball and break the lines, and he's a bit younger. If they look, Lille are gonna say, look, let's give us 30 to 35 million for him, and that would be a fair deal, because Lille, I'm gonna bump the price up, because multiple teams they didn't do with Gabriel, and they said, look, this is the price, you pay the price, you get your player. That's how Lille operates. And to be quite honest, it looks like Lille is going to be our second French team, because we have 3 French teams at the moment. We've got obviously Lorient, that's have players that come from the likes of Koscielny and Guendouzi. You got Saint Etienne, who's got the likes of Saliba. Looks like we're hovering around for more Saliba deals, and then we've got Lille, who's another French team. So it's interesting times. If Arteta wants both or one of them, then I got to back my boy, because he knows what he's doing, and if that's what he wants, then that's what he wants, man. Like, you got to give him the money, like it or not.
Okay, so to avoid being told off by you again, what's his name? Boubakary Soumaré?
No, his name is Boubakary Soumaré, or Soumaré, if you want. Yeah. I think it's Samar, actually. Yeah, Boubakary Soumaré. Yeah.
Samar. Okay.
Yeah.
So, all right. So I will make sure I learn his name this next time. Before we carry on, thank you one more time for another new member that's come on the books, Mr. Colorado Guna. Appreciate it. Thank you, my brother. Welcome. Thank you for supporting the show. I appreciate it. I hope you enjoy your stay. All right. I'm with you in the sense that I've heard all these stories as well. I've heard that whilst Diego Simeone would prefer to keep Partey, that he has quietly accepted that if Arsenal meet Atletico Madrid's criteria for buying him, that he will obviously lose the player, because the player is quite keen on coming to Arsenal. The problem is the 2 clubs. There are various different rumours on this. You're talking about Guendouzi. I've heard about the fact that they want Lacazette. I think they would have buying both players, to be fair. But whether or not we can actually get that deal over the line, for some reason, I just don't think this deal is dead. I know that some papers are reporting that we pulled out in negotiations, but that's all they've said. They've not said that we've ended interest in Thomas Partey. They've just said we pulled out of negotiations. So that makes me think, so you're going to return back to the table of negotiations? I think sometimes this is when you look into stories, you try and you go through the bullshit and you think, what is true and what isn't? That's why I remained calm when there were stories talking about PSG and Man United for Gabriel. In my mind, I was like, all right, I'm not worried, because you can understand how certain stories are made up and why certain things happen, why certain things don't. And I just got this feeling that even if we end up buying a Diawara from Roma, for example, or even this Soumaré guy that we're talking about, I still got a gut feeling that we'll come back in for Partey. Just a gut feeling in my mind that we'll come back in for him.
Soumaré, Cheek. Soumaré. Boubakary.
Soumaré. My gosh. Is there a family member? You're going on. Soumaré. All right.
We get it. Souffle. What about me? I'm confused as shit as to what Max was talking about, but I'm going to try and...
Okay, go on.
Okay. What was I going to say? So I don't think the Partey deal's dead. I think they're dangling him out as a carrot to get more money between us and Juventus and other teams. Because what, 50 mil? They're probably just waiting. They have no urgency to sell him whatsoever. And I don't think they're going to get Lacazette, because I don't think Morata has been a complete bust for them. I know he's crap, but they put a lot of money into him, and Spanish striker playing in Madrid. I just don't see them just benching him and then shelling out, 40 million, 35 for Lacazette. I don't think he's going to go there. If he does go there, I'll be surprised. But I think that puts Morata in a real bad position. And I don't know if Diego Simeone wants to do that after, 1.5 seasons there.
Interesting.
I don't know. But I think Partey right now is kind of being dangled around a bit. I think we are going to get him. But on the other side, I haven't heard of the Boubakary deal. Sorry, Max. My pronunciation's off. I haven't even read anything about that. But yeah, so I would, if we have the money, I would get both of them.
Yeah.
Ship out Xhaka and Guendouzi and Torreira.
Yeah, because that's a lot of midfielders that are going, and then we're even getting rid of Maitland-Niles, who has the potential of playing there. So it's just, right. I think, why not go and get both of them if you can afford it, and you would hope that we could. So yeah, I think that's a fair point.
Can I just say I'm gonna stick my neck out, and because I have a contact it hasn't done me wrong yet. By the end of next week, Partey will be announced. I'm gonna stick my neck out. Okay, all right. I'm telling you, I'm saying it here first. So in front of everyone else here, I'm gonna stick my neck out. But from now until probably this time next week, he will get announced. I'm telling you right now, he will get announced. It will get done.
I think the deal's about 80% done myself.
I think it's halfway done in the sense that I think the player wants to come, and I think whilst there's not necessarily an agreement on his wages, I think Arsenal have an idea what he wants to be paid. Are not uncomfortable with that idea, but I think that's about as far as it's gone so far. Okay, interesting. All right, well, Max has kind of stolen my thunder, because the last question I was going to end on was, tell me one player that you think will be done before the start of the season, that you think for sure will be done. Keep in mind the transfer window opens until the 5th.
It could, and I'm going to also make another prediction, right? This is my other prediction. There's 2 predictions, right? That Partey will be done this time next week. And when the season starts on whenever it starts for the game against Fulham, right? We'll have Gabriel will be in the squad, Partey will also be in the squad. Aubameyang will have signed a new deal, right? Okay, Aubameyang will have signed a new deal, and we'll keep Danny Ceballos, and we'll have another midfielder there. Whether that be Hassan Owar, whether that be Thiago Alcantara, whether that be Donny van de Beek, whoever, it's one of those three for me, and we'll have another midfielder there. I'm going to stick my neck out and say that.
Okay.
And if I'm wrong, if I will come on your channel next time you live stream, and I will donate $50 Australian dollars to your channel if I'm wrong.
You should do that already.
Oh, goodness. All right.
So what is the question? Name one player we're going to sign. So what's the question? One player we're actually going to sign before September 12th?
I want you to give me predictions before the start of the season.
Before of players that we're getting in.
Players in or out.
In or out.
Before the start of the season.
I think Partey right now is shopping for a place in London. And that's why I think it's about 80% done.
Okay.
So Partey, of course, would be one. The news with Dennis Bergkamp coming does sound good about Van der Beek. I would love to have him at Arsenal.
Okay, I like the link.
He would be class. He would be great in the number 10. A 4-2-3-1 with him in the number 10 behind Aubameyang would just be immense, with Partey and Ceballos behind him. But anyway, and also another player, I think we're going to get this Ceballos deal done. I haven't heard much about him. I don't know, maybe you guys know a little more than I do, but I still think there's an interest in keeping him.
And he also said he wants to stay at Arsenal, and he's turned down every single other offer, even like AC Milan as well. So he clearly wants to stay here, and he's bought into the project.
Yeah, well, that's good to hear. I heard about the AC Milan thing, but I didn't read anything into that. But I think the players that are going to go is Guendouzi, Torreira.
Mustafi will go. Socrates will go.
Yeah, I mean, I'm primarily thinking about midfielders. I think we're pretty set on defense, to be honest.
Holding will go. Chambers will go.
Holding's already pretty much done. I think there's a $15 million deal, isn't there, Chig, for Holding on the table from Watford.
And Chig,
from where?
And Chig, don't worry. Kolasinac will be out the door, but before the season starts, I'm telling you that right now. Don't believe anything that German Sky tells you. They basically fib a lot of shit.
He's going back to Schalke. Anything. I saw something about him going back to Schalke today.
Yeah, apparently there's some denials for that story.
The reason why I didn't talk about the defenders is because we all know who needs to go, but we've got several center backs in, right? I think Saliba and Gabriel's done, and Mari. I mean, I think our defense is pretty set. And a lot of the stuff we've talked about throughout this season is that our defense wasn't always so bad. It was that we had a real porous midfield that couldn't fucking defend, right? So I think the adjustments that we've already made in center back position is great. With Mari, again, with Mari and what's his name? Gabriel and Saliba, I think we're fine. But midfield is, I think Torreira, Guendouzi, and El Nenny's going to go.
Did you see El Nenny's goal? My word, that was a goal. The El Nenny's goal. I know it was a friendly, yeah, but my word, I was watching that goal. I was like, man, that was a strike. That was a strike.
Yeah.
It was a good strike. I don't want to get any ideas.
Right.
Keeping him. But
I'm just going to make this very clear. I still sell him, but man, that was a goal. That was a
great goal.
I actually thought he played well in spite of the goal. I thought he was pressing well. I thought he was closing down people. He was making some good tackles. I thought, blimey, okay, well done. You put yourself in the shop window. That's for damn sure. So I'm happy for him. Hopefully he'll get a move probably to Turkey because he did well there last season. So I say just go and get another move there.
Also, by the way, Chig, looks like the Bellerin thing might be coming true, because it looks like he might be going to PSG. And because I heard very, very, very strong rumors that apparently Arsenal are looking at Denzel Dumfries. Very, very strong rumors that he's the PSV right back who plays for PSV, and he's he's very, very quick. He's very similar in mold to Kyle Walker at Man City. He plays very similar to Kyle Walker at Man City in terms of play style. And honestly, if we're looking at him, and I heard rumors that apparently we're also looking at Max Harris as an alternative. If we're looking at two's right back, then the Bellerin thing must be coming fruit. So, you know.
So I was going to say my prediction. So I think I don't think we'll get Partey done by the start of the season, but I do think we'll get it done. I feel as though we're going to get rid of most of our deadwood apart from Xhaka and Mustafi. I think that Holding will go, Chambers will go, Socrates will go. I do think Bellerin will go. I keep changing my mind on this, but I think reading, much like Max, I've been hearing a lot about this exit being very legitimate, and that the reason that the club are so keen on getting rid is that he's refusing to sign any new contracts, and that he's quite keen on exploring other options because he's become quite disillusioned with the fans at Arsenal. So I do think now that he'll go. Hopefully, it'll be before the end of the transfer window. But yeah, I think we'll see what happens.
There's so many players.
There's
so many players going out the door. It's hard to remember who's going out the door. I mean, it's really insane to think of like 6 to 8 players we're really considering letting go. And I'm surprised you think Mustafi's going to stay.
I do. Yeah.
Really? Yeah. Maybe for cup games.
I think it will be difficult to try because he's still injured, isn't he? Mm-hmm. So I think it's going to be difficult to sell him while he's injured. Whereas with Chambers, I think he'll end up at Fulham. Fulham know the player. He was their player of the season 2 years ago.
But on that check, Kieran Tierney was injured when we bought him, so it's clearly not.
Mustafi's no Kieran Tierney. That's what
I'm just saying. I know that, but I'm just saying in terms of the injury thing. Like,
I know what you're saying in terms of the injury thing. My point is that I think for a team to take a gamble on Mustafi now, he would have to be playing and well and on form. I think that's the best way to package a Mustafi, quite frankly. Whereas I think it'd be a little bit more difficult. He's injured. I think people will think twice. That's the point I'm making. Not because he's injured, but I think the injury does not help the situation.
So one thing you mentioned, Chick, and I see that Carter Stage is saying too, is you don't see Laka going, but Carter here says he does see Laka going. But does that mean if Laka goes, does that mean Eddie stays?
I think Eddie will stay, yeah. I think today was a good indication that Arteta has unshakable faith in Eddie Nketiah. And I think whether we like it or not, if Laka was to go, I don't necessarily see us getting another striker. I could see Arteta saying, okay, Eddie, here's your chance, step up. Right. Bear in mind, we still have Martinelli in the wings. You can rejig the shape to maybe play Willian as a false 9. So you can do all sorts of stuff up front and allow Aubameyang to play his natural position. Having said all of that, maybe he might, because it was also interesting to see Arteta starting Aubameyang today on the left. So maybe he still doesn't buy that Aubameyang can play up front by himself. So we'll see. I guess it's all a question of we'll see what happens.
Yeah. I don't think Laka's going to go to Atletico. If he goes anywhere, maybe Juventus. I can't think. I mean, what Premier League club would buy him? You know, maybe Crystal Palace or somebody like that if they could afford it. I don't know where he would go. I don't know where he'd go. They'd have to ship off Benteke, and that would be a hard one to ship off. If someone would buy that crap. I don't know. I don't really have much more else to say, Jig. I just hope that, I hope we get a couple more players in. I do think the Partey deal, I think he's shopping right now for a place in London.
Yeah.
I think it's beyond 50%.
Can I also touch upon? This is something I really want you guys' opinions on, right? You know, with the Gabriel deal, how people were also like tracking his car, tracking his plane, tracking his tree, tracking the sky outside the window, and all that kind of stuff, right? Like, I'm looking at this, right, and I'm like, our fan base is the only fan base in the world that goes to these lengths when players are coming in, like, and it just makes me laugh because, like, some guy was tracking his plane all the way from Lille to Luton Airport, or on some sort of flight tracker, and then, like, just the other day, someone was tracking the V Hummer of him getting off the plane, and then going to the training ground, and then they were like taking pictures of him on Instagram with the trees outside, and they're trying to match it up with the driveway of the training ground, and then there was people taking like CCTV footage of him on the M1, and I'm just sitting there going, like, if we were getting a big name, how much of this more of a hype would this guy be getting if it was like?
Can you imagine if it was Messi? Flipping that, Twitter would break.
I hope he's not a flop. Because we're going to look really stupid if he's terrible. If he's terrible, we're going to look really dumb.
Which reminds me, I'll ask you guys one more question before we get off. But Colorado Guna, thank you for your donation. Aubameyang could play up front if he had a good, stable midfield behind him. I agree. I do agree with you. I'm also going to make one more bold prediction. I think we go and get Coutinho. I think Arteta wants him. I think he goes and gets him. I really do.
Over Thiago Alcantara? I don't think Awar is coming here at all.
I don't think so. So that's why I say that.
But over Thiago, do you really think it's between Coutinho and Thiago?
Why not both? They're slightly different.
I agree. Why not get Awar too?
So
I'll buy them all.
Why not get both? All right. Last question before we head off out of it, and it was you that reminded me, DBS, before we headed up out of here about this. And I'll start off with Max. What did you think about Saliba today?
Saliba, however you pronounce his name. That one I don't know how to pronounce. Saliba, whatever. Yeah. I think it's Saliba actually, but whatever. But yeah, no, honestly, I think he looked good. I think he looked real good. He was quick. He defended well. He made that slide tackle when he knocked the ball out of play, which, he did it in the right way. So it's not like Mustafi, like where you're getting red cards and stuff, and he's like sliding around like it's like a wet slide. Yeah, no, he looked really good. It's kind of shocking to see him with the bald head, to be honest, because I'm so used to him having curls. I think, he looked really, really impressive. Also, I want to give a big shout out to my boy who was playing today, who is I have a huge amount of time for, who scored the header for the fourth goal. Who's one of the youngsters coming through the academy. One of my good close friends actually knows the guy who from the Arsenal Youth Academy. So I just want to give a shout out to my boy who scored. Yeah. So to answer the question. Yeah. To answer your question, he looked really, really good, and I have huge respect for Saliba, and I think he can do very, very well, especially with the likes of Gabriel coming in. If we had if it comes down to it, if we had a backline of just hypothetically, like we had Dumfries, Gabriel, Saliba, and then we have Tierney, right, and then we had a midfield of Soumaré, Coutinho, and like Thiago as an option. And then the front three as it is, yeah. I think that would be a very, very good team and willing to push on to the top 4 spot. And I think, he can't do any worse than David Luiz. Yes, he's going to make mistakes. That's granted. Same with Gabriel. Yes, he's going to make mistakes. But at least it's not going to be the same mistakes over and over again, like that we see from the other defenders that we have, And I think, I honestly believe if we have those players, top 4 is 100% accomplishable. Man United have signed no one. Sucks to be them. And Chelsea are doing a madness. So I think it's going to be between Man City, Liverpool, Chelsea, and us. McGuinness. That's it. McGuinness, an excellent player. who's just come in for the under Scottish nationals. So he's very, very good. You know, and I think he has a lot of potential about him. So yeah, no, Saliba's great. Yeah, Saliba's real good.
Okay. DBS?
I didn't watch the game today, Chig.
To be fair, it would have been early for you, wouldn't it?
I had I was working. I listened to some of it, but I didn't watch the full match.
Yeah.
But already, as long as it's not David fucking Luiz, I'm glad it's somebody else.
I thought you looked very good. You look very tidy.
Yeah, I'm sure that he's a good defender with all the hype. I know for a fact, because I saw this from multiple sources and different YouTube Gunner Arsenal channels, that Real Madrid were definitely after him. They were like on his ass, yeah, because they wanted to pair him up with Varane. The younger Varane, because they didn't know at the time what Sergio Ramos's plans were.
Yes, I remember.
They were really on Saliba, like
negotiations, wasn't it? That was the time when he was using
and the thing with
hopefully he's really good if Real Madrid rated him that high.
I think so.
And also with Saliba, yeah, he's very, very similar play style to Varane as well. So imagine having two Varanes in the defense, you know, like that would be some madness. But honestly, like, no, I rate him very, very highly. I was watching a lot of French games, obviously last season when obviously Saliba went back out alone at St. Etienne's, and I watched a lot of Saliba in action, and he actually plays the ball very, very well. He's got a good pass. He's got a good tackle in him. He actually was actually first in the French league in terms of passes completed. So he's very good at passing the ball. With Gabriel, yes, as I said, they're going to make mistakes, but honestly, that's our pairing for the next couple of years, 100%. If we manage to hold on to him.
Okay, all right, well said. All right, guys. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that. Up to 250 people at one point watching us this late, which is great. Please do slap a like on the video. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. And
devious.
Always good.
Can I also say something real quick? Yeah, I'm just gonna make a prediction for the community show, because in case you guys don't stream until then, yeah. It's gonna be a 4-3-3. Just in this hypothetical situation, this is if we get our business done, right? Assuming before then, right? Or like 1 or 2 times before then, right? If we manage to keep Donny Ceballos, it's going to be, and we manage to get Partey deal done before then, like I said, yeah. It will be Partey, Donny Ceballos, and it will probably be Willian in the midfield 3 as a 4-3-3. And then it'll probably be a back 4 of Kieran Tierney, William Saliba, Gabriel, Bellerin, unfortunately, and then a front 3 of Aubameyang, Lacazette, and Pepe.
Okay. All right. Do you want to say your 1 to 11 for Sunday, DBS?
Yeah, I'm going 4-2-3-1. And let's do what? Tierney, Saliba, Gabriel, and what's the other bloke's name? Cedric. And then the 2 mids, I'm going to put Partey and Xhaka. And then my front 3 is going to be Saka on the left, Salabas in the middle, Willian on the right, with Aubameyang up front.
Interesting.
I don't know if he's going to start Pepe, because I don't think he knows what to do with Pepe just quite yet.
I agree with that last point, yeah.
But plus, I think he trusts Willian.
I don't think he's fit yet, so.
We'll see.
All right. Well, you'll see my 1 to 11 on Friday. I'll probably do that preview. So keep an eye out for that. And in the meantime, we're out of here, guys. Enjoy the rest of your day, no matter where you are. If you're in the UK, get to bed, because I'm about to go to bed myself. So I will see you guys later. Take care.
Adios. Thanks, Jake.
Thanks, Jake.